It's really happening. They really are. Totally federalizing the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, the public schools. Here in Austin, they have TV ads that run for kids to turn their parents in. 8 years ago, 7.5 years ago, my film Road to Tyranny. It's really going on. It's really happening en masse. InfraGard, 55,000 executives hired with shoot-to-kill orders on their employees if they don't go along with martial law. The clergy response teams, we broke that a year and a half before it was national news. Preachers trained to tell you to go to FEMA camps, take shots. The Gardasil shots really are killing girls and maiming and paralyzing them. They knew and are doing nothing. They're covering it up. It's all just amazing what's happening. The toll-free number to join us is 1-800-259-9231. And I guess Earl, Chris, and Justin, and many others are up next. In fact, who's up first here, John? Chris in Tennessee, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. It is absolutely appalling what's going on in America. We don't have freedom of speech. I can't even talk in the break room at work without worrying about the boss writing me up or sending me home or giving me a bad work schedule.
Do me a big favor and turn your radio. Do me a favor and turn your radio off.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Because I'm getting some feedback. Yes, everywhere they're trying to chill speech. They're openly announcing a diversity czar in FCC. They say they're taking the web over. The Pentagon's openly taking the web over, openly announcing it under cybersecurity, openly saying that it's to restrict free speech. Openly telling people they're not allowed to criticize anything. You're not allowed to talk in church. They're telling them don't even talk with church members at lunch about politics. This country is in the middle of a Nazi/Soviet takeover.
Absolutely. Well, what people don't understand is this country was not founded on freedom of religion. Even though that's so, we want freedom of religion and speech and everything else. This country was founded on Christianity. Washington, Jefferson, all those, Benjamin Franklin, they were Christians. Why do you think everything's written in stone in our court system? In God we trust, and in our money. We're in the middle of hell. It's ridiculous. And we don't.
So at work, you're not, everybody else has their free speech as long as it's politically correct, but you're not allowed to speak it in the break room? That's
exactly right. I can't express my opinions. Not anything racial even, just about anything that offends someone. Oh, no, we can't have it.
And they decide what is offensive.
A serious talk.
Well, it's just like Obama can tell the congressman, you're being deceptive, you're lying about this being in the bill, and they go, no, you're lying, and then it's bad that they said, no, you're lying. I appreciate your call, Chris. It's not going to work, though. They're trying to buffalo America. They're trying to bushwhack us. They're trying to get us under their thumb. They're trying to break our spirit, make us capitulate to their tyranny, and it isn't going to work. Let's talk to Justin in Arkansas. Justin, you're on the air.
Hey, Alex. How you doing?
Good.
I wanted to call. I've been trying to call you actually for months. I'm sure you got a whole bunch of calls.
You're on the air now. Good to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, I'm Native American, and the FBI has been harassing me and my wife and kids. And telling me they're going to take my kids away because my aunt, I have an aunt that used to go to a church that they're looking for all the kids around the country. And I don't know where she's at. And so basically the FBI said they know that I am a, what is it, the word?
Person of interest.
No, they said that I am a... It sounded something like right out of Soviet, or I'm a conspirator, or I can't think of the word right now.
Conspirator?
Yeah, something like that. And
well, it's on record that the FBI, it's been all over the news, comes to people and say, you're going to falsely testify in court or we're going to take your kids. And yes, it is so corrupt. What corrupted our police was first Prohibition, making alcohol illegal. They all got bought off by the mob. Then they made drugs illegal. The CIA brings most of them in or has sub-distributors. That got corrupt policing because there's so much money involved. And I just had a member of parliament on over there where if you question the government in any way, they openly say they take your kids as punishment.
They said that what they said was I was a sympathizer with the
sympathizer.
Church. Yeah, and so they would if they had any trouble out of me, they were going to take my kids away. And I'm Native American. I'm not sure if you've ever heard of the Native American
Resettlement?
Child Right Act, something like that. Native American child's
Yes,
right.
I'm aware of it. Go ahead.
So, yeah, basically, it's illegal for them to take Native American kids.
Well, yeah, they had to pass a law saying, don't do it, sir. I appreciate your call, because they do it. George Bush Sr., when he was in the Nixon administration, for 2 of the 6 years, he was also CIA chief, separately UN ambassador to China. It was his job sterilizing 42%, that's what he got done, of all Native women. They just came, picked you up, family court, sterilized you. And they'd say, you let us do this surgery or we're taking your kids. And then they would go and sterilize them. That's mainstream news. That's also in my film Endgame, Blueprint for Global Enslavement. And yes, I know that with the minority groups, they set the precedents to abuse them first, because the precedent was set over 200 years ago that natives have no rights. Because, oh, look, they're ignorant. You know, you can buy New York for a bucket of beads, for a chest of beads, for wampum. You know, look, we got some glitter for you. And they, the Indians didn't really have anything of ownership over land. They said, sure, you can fish here if you give me this big bucket of brushes and nails and beads and things the Indians like to trade. And so, yes, the family court set up 135 years ago, roughly in England, the last 100 years in the U.S., openly are eugenics courts. We have the newsreels, clips put out on movie theaters by the government, where it shows them taking people's children. If you're poor, they'd come and take you and sterilize you. But they did it to whites, blacks, everybody, basically. But it's unbelievable. It really is unbelievable. And this is how they control populations. It's the British model of the concentration camp. Andrew Jackson's mother and brother died in a concentration camp. But as they were dying, they loaded them on a wagon and took them back home. That was their thing. They would almost kill you on the prison ship, starving you for 3 or 4 months. Then they'd bring you back, dump you off on shore to die. They took his mom and brother back to die there on the doorstep. They died, I think his mother 2 weeks later, his brother a few days after. Of course, his dad had died when they first moved into, South Carolina. And his dad was a big, strong, strapping guy and cleared with just an axe some huge amount of acreage in just a few months, and then collapsed and died when Andrew Jackson was still in his mother's womb. But there I go off into a side note. And then Andrew Jackson, when he was 12, was running messages for the rebellion, and this famous colonel came in and told him, lick my boots, clean my boots, and Jackson said no. So he pulled out his saber and slashed him across the face from the back of his head all the way to his chin. That's why he had that big scar. Somebody's got to make a movie about that guy's life. It's unbelievable. Talk about Conan the Barbarian. I mean, that life is just that's the real Conan the Barbarian, is Andrew Jackson. I mean, you talk about something that, if you put everything he did in a movie, people wouldn't believe it. And side issue, though. That's the guy that was leading Davy Crockett and all those people, and Sam Houston, and they'd have arrows sticking out of them. I mean, it was just absolute swashbuckling like you couldn't imagine. And he did a lot of bad stuff to the natives, what he learned from the British. So he was an interesting character. You have to look at him in the history and the time he was in. At that time, they had huge Indian tribes merging that had weapons given to them by the French and British in different wars. They would pour down out of Illinois and out of Canada, sometimes 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1, the Native Americans. And, of course, their cause was just as well. But it was a fight where the whites were losing most of the time. That's why all the Hollywood movies you see set in the 1860s, 70s, 80s, where they're out west just wiping Indians out, it was because most of those people had family members killed in the Indian Wars. See, you never see that in Hollywood, though, about the real Indian Wars, folks. I mean, it was groups of Indians, groups of natives with the Americans, and groups of natives with the French, and groups of natives with the British, and it was just absolute bedlam, and natives killing natives, and just total slaughter and constant wars. And so it isn't what Hollywood puts out. It isn't the image Hollywood puts out. But then, by the time that the whites were truly in control, by the 1870s or so, they did engage in genocide and crimes unspeakable. And I'm against what they're doing to the natives currently right now, and I fight for native rights, and I fight for the Lakota Nation. You have to understand it all in a historical perspective. Okay, I said I'd take calls, and I went off the deep end there. Let's go ahead and talk to Mark in Oregon. Mark, you're on the air.
Good morning, Alex. How you doing?
Oh, man, did you just hear that Charlie Sheen piece?
Yes, sir. And I'm, just as you are, and I think that all people that love freedom and liberty and want to see an end to this tyranny that's evolving into something that is going to be insurmountable if it continues on as it is in a very short time frame, I believe. Charlie has really put himself out there with everything he's got, as you do, sir. Alex, I know that this is 9/11 coming up tomorrow. I realize that 9/11 is the talk of the town, so to speak, the talk of the country, perhaps the talk of the world at this point around this date and time, even though it's been 8 years now.